Not all comics have to be on this week's top 10 list to be worth something. Stay tuned to see what I've picked up next. Welcome back, comic book fans. This is Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and this week we're going to just have a general comic book haul. These are going to be books that I've been picking up from different sources like Heritage Auctions, eBay. I went to a local comic book con here a few weeks ago, picked up a couple books, and from one of my favorite LCSs in the Baltimore area, Third Eye Comics. So stay tuned for the books that I've picked up. As I said in the intro, these are not on the top 10 list, but these are all really good books. If you can get those high grades from CGC, they'll definitely be worth something. So stay tuned for that. But before we begin, make sure you hit that like button, slap the subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on great content like this each week on Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. I don't want you to miss out on the thing. You never know what kind of show I'm going to put on next. And make sure you join me on Facebook and Instagram, where I end up selling a lot of the books that I ended up getting graded. I do have some raws that I sell too. They're listed on eBay. So you can check me out on eBay. You can look at some of the specials that I have on Instagram. Reach out, DM me there, or you can always email me at collectorauctions@yahoo.com. I always keep that email address right up here at all times, so you guys can always reach out to me that way as well. So sit back, let's go through these books, and I'll show you some really great books that are definitely, some of them are going to have to be sent to my shop so I can get a little clean and press on them, but fun books in this collection, and they're great for the PC and great for resale if you can get those high grades. So stay tuned and let's enjoy the show. All right, so the first books I'm going to go over today are some things that I've picked up from Heritage Auctions. Now, I have been slowing down on Heritage because they can get very expensive. You know that sometimes you can find some good prices, but you've got buyer's premiums and taxes and credit card charges, and it really adds up. So I have slowed down on Heritage, but this is one of the last things I've picked up. This right here was a really high grade, near mint minus copy of The Creeper #1, the first issue of his ongoing series by Steve Ditko. And what a wonderful cover. And I picked this up really based on the condition. It's not his first appearance, but it is The Creeper's first ongoing series. Now, this came out in June of 1968, and I think I might have said this was a near mint minus. It's more like a very fine plus. I think that's what Heritage actually had it graded. So that puts it into that 8.5 category. Now, an 8.5, if I can get this graded and get an 8.5, it's only worth about $108. Now, if I was going to sell that, I basically would be making a little bit of money, but not really breaking even. I'm hoping, and especially after taking a look at the pictures before I bought it, and then after seeing it here, that hopefully I can push this up to a 9, maybe even a 9.2. A 9.2 just went back in July of 2021, so this book doesn't sell too often, but back in 2021, a 9.2 went for $225. Now that 8.5, if I failed to give you that information, was only $108. That was back in December, just a few months ago. But if you could ever get this up to a 9.8, right now, the last sale that I can find happened back in June of 2020. It went for about $612. I'm sure that we've had 3 years since at this point, or almost 2.5 years. I'm sure that prices really will shoot up after that if you could get that 9.8. I'm hoping with a little bit of love and attention to my shop, we'll get this a grade up, and I'm hoping for that. Well, I would really hope for a 9.4, but if I can get this to a 9.2, I'll be really happy. It'll be a nice piece for the collection, but definitely it's something that would be available if anybody would ever be interested in that. What a great cover. I love the coloring, especially on these 1960s Steve Ditko books. Books like this, books like Captain Atom and Blue Beetle. Well, actually, I don't think he did the Blue Beetles, but definitely those. Maybe he did, but I definitely know he did those Captain Atom books, and they're just fantastic. The coloring, especially on those, are really good. But what a great book. Now, the other book I picked up in this same auction was a graded book. It is New Funnies. This is from Dell. This is issue number 229. It is another Woody Woodpecker cover, and I grew up watching old cartoons with Woody Woodpecker, but I bought this basically based on the age and the grade. Now it is an older label, so I may eventually get it into a new case. But 9.6 on this was really good. I paid, I think, $105 for this. And it's one of those that I bought this basically on the condition and the age. It's not a super key. So when I say, well, as I said at the beginning, not all these books are going to be keys. These are not hot keys. But books like The Creeper is a key. It's his first ongoing series. This is definitely not a key. But the age and the condition, there's definitely a desirability for books like this and these high grades like this. So I thought a 9.6 on this was really good. It's another file copy from Dell. And yeah, makes me happy. I like books like this. I like some of these funny books in these high grades, especially the ones from the 60s. Now, while I don't buy a lot of books from eBay these days, I do buy them on occasion when there is no other version available. Basically, I can't find it anyplace else, and eBay still has that as a plus. It is probably still the largest marketplace on the internet for comic books. You can argue, or maybe you can give me suggestions of some other places to look, but I bought this book. It's the best condition of this book that I have found since I saw it go on Heritage Auctions back, when was it? Back in December. And I should have bid on this book at the time. It was a 9.8 graded version of this book. And it went for $288. I'm giving you the price before I even give you the book. And with the fees, it would have jumped above that $300 mark. And I pulled back mostly because it was getting expensive. Then I realized probably should have pulled the trigger because I can't find this book. And in a condition that would come in close to that 9.8. This is the closest one I found. It popped up on eBay. I literally paid a whole, let me see, I got a price on here with shipping a little over $20. And this is a book from my childhood. This is The Adventures of Robin Hood from Gold Key Comics. It is the adaptation, I guess, of the movie. I think it's the adaptation from the movie from Disney Comics, from Disney Studios, and loved this book as a kid. I'm sure I could go back through my old collection. I still have most of those comic books in boxes. I read, as I always say, I read the covers off of these books. Love this book. I love the animated movie from Disney on this, one of my all-time favorites. And this comic was just fantastic. This book is in actually really good shape compared to some of the other ones I've found on eBay. And I've found worse conditions of this book definitely for a lot more money. And I thought, like, after it was $14 and then $6 or so in change in shipping, and I felt like that was a pretty good price, especially for this. It's got some pressable defects, but it's got a little bit of wear. It won't get to that 9.8, but I'd be real curious to see where this goes once I get it graded and once I get it out of my shop. We'll see what I think about that, and hopefully there's not a lot of census data on a book like this. As I said, the only real thing I've seen go is a Heritage Auction sale back in December for $288. So it's one of those I've kind of regretted. As I said, I regretted not buying that at the time. This is kind of the makeup for it, and I will continue to be on the lookout for a book like this. Now, this came out, I want to say it was 1974. What a great year for comics. 73, 74. There are some really great comics from that time. And you guys know what I'm talking about from that time period. But this was another great book. I love this book. We'll see what we can do once we get it into the shop. Now, the next two books that I ended up picking up, I picked up at a local comic book show. Now, this is a show that happened back in February, and I realized that I'd actually went to the same show after that, and I'd already shown you those books, and I didn't realize that I hadn't included these books from a previous show in that when I did that video. So I went back, I realized I hadn't shown off these books. One of them is a pretty good key. Well, both of them are keys of different levels and everything, but both of them are right up my alley on the books that I love, the books I want to collect, and books I want to get in those 9.6s, 9.8s. Well, the one I want in it would be great to get both of them in 9.8s, but 9.6s on either one of these is really good. Let me show you the first one. It's a book that I continue to pick up, especially when I find them at really good prices. This is Marvel 2-in-1, number 54, The Thing and Deathlock. You've got George Perez cover with Joe Sinnott inking. You've got John Byrne artwork on the interior. I think it's Terry Olson inking, and I believe it's Marv Wolfman writing these books. This is part of that Project Pegasus. You guys probably are getting tired of me talking about these Marvel 2-in-1s, especially this issue. This issue is the first appearance of the Grapplers, the female wrestling team. You've got the first Titania in this, but even more, you've got the first Screaming Mimi, who goes on to be Songbird in the Thunderbolts. So it's a key in a lot of different ways. And not to mention just the fantastic talent that went into this book. I always love this George Perez cover, and the inkings from Sinnott is just fantastic. And this one, it was the condition. I don't buy this book if the condition is in question even a little bit. This condition looks fantastic. I've got my 9.6 in this. I've got a 9.4 in this. I am looking to eventually get this as a 9.8, and that is a little mini project I'm working on, is the Project Pegasus series. I think it was 50, the issue before this, so 53, I think through 57. I think that's right. All those issues as 9.8s. I've got the issue prior with Quasar as a 9.8. I've got that already done. I've got my 9.6 on this. The other ones I'm still working on a little bit, but they're not expensive books. This is the key book out of that little run. Love that book. This book right here came out. When did I have this come out? This actually, I can't remember when. I think this was 79, I believe. But let me give you a little bit of data. I've given you this data before, but let me give it to you again. The most graded book on the census is a 9.6. Runs for about $159. That price is getting down to the point where if I see, well, that's a 9.6. Let me give you the 9.8. 9.8s will run about $232, and that's the one that if I see that price dip below that 200 mark in this down market right now, I may just go ahead and buy the book. So we'll see where the market goes on like that, but I have a feeling, well, the market will continue to grow, the economy will go up and down a little bit, and we'll continue to see growth in the comic book community here. And I'm sure this book will continue to grow in value, so I'm pretty happy with that. I think this is going to grade out really well once I get it into the shop. Now, the other book, I only bought 2 books at the show that weekend, and this one right here is X-Men number 134. It is the part of the Dark Phoenix saga. In fact, it is the first appearance of the Dark Phoenix. And personally, I consider it the first cameo. It's only in the last panel, and if you go by the Wolverine rule 180 being a cameo, he shows up in the last panel, and then the next issue, he's on the cover, and he's the main, one of the main characters throughout the whole issue as the first appearance. This should be considered the first cameo. The next issue, Dark Phoenix, is on the cover and throughout the whole issue. She's the main villain throughout that whole thing. But a lot of people now consider this, right now you go into key collectors and things like that, and it'll say this is the first appearance. You will find more 9.6s graded than any other on the census right here. 9.6s, but they have a range. There's a range in prices. Last sales that I could find were at the end of January. In fact, I believe they were on the same day. You had one go for $199, while another went for $480. And I think we got some extremes in that right there. I don't really buy this being a $480 9.8. I'm sorry, 9.6. I don't quite buy that, but the last 9.8 sale actually went for $900 back, and that was on eBay as well, back in November of last year. So maybe that 480 was legitimate, but that was a big range, especially being on the same day. Yeah, I can't quite put my finger on that one, but great book. You've got Claremont, you've got Byrne, at the height of how great this X-Men run was. This Dark Phoenix saga is probably one of the greatest stories in comics history, and this issue was one of the major keys in that. Of course, you've got 129 and 130 as being major keys, but this is also it's probably the third biggest key out of that little storyline right there. But love this book. That's what I picked up from the show. And I picked this up for the grade. Again, I'm working on a John Byrne run of X-Men, graded at a minimum of a 9.6, and I'll take the 9.8s. I've got a couple 9.8s in there. Well, actually I do. I've got a few 9.8s in there. But I'd be very happy just to have a 9.6 run of this entire thing. I find them 9.6s, for the most part, are pretty reasonable on most of the issues. But you get the key issues: 109, 120, 121, 129, 130, 130. Those at 9.6s are still command a pretty high price tag. But that's one of the reasons why I will try to pick up high-grade versions of any of these John Byrne X-Men when I can find them for good prices. So that's what I'm doing with this. This is not the first copy of this issue that I found that I actually have in the shop. And maybe I didn't necessarily need to pick up another one of this, but when I ran across it, I looked at the condition and I'm going, man, this is in super good condition. And I know I don't have that 9.6 in this one yet. So while I may have another copy or two in the shop being worked on currently, this one's going to be going there just as well. And I think this one will probably grade out higher than the others, or maybe the same, but I still think this is going to grade out really high. Keep your fingers crossed. Maybe it'll be a 9.8. So guys, tell me, what do you think about these books that I've picked up? Are these books that you have in your collection? Let me know by leaving me a comment in the comment section. And that's it. That's it for today. Join me for the next episode, and I have no idea what that is going to be about the next time. We'll figure it out before that day. This episode you're going to be watching today, it's going to be on Monday. The next episode will be on Friday. It'll be a surprise because I don't even know what I'm going to end up doing. But I'm pretty sure it'll be about comic books. I'm sure, guys. But that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for everybody who subscribed to the channel. We just hit the 1,000 sub mark, and I couldn't be more excited to see where this channel can go from this point moving forward. Thank you guys for the journey, and I hope you will continue to watch the show. I appreciate it each and every day. So take care, guys, and remember, every comic has a story.